The letter arrived on a crisp autumn morning, sealed with the ostentatious crest of Harmony Hills. HOA. My heart sank as I tore it open. $70,000 in fines for unapproved landscaping and non-compliant mailbox height. I stared at the notice, my modest ranch house suddenly feeling like a prison. Karen HOA, the HOA president, had been hounding me for months, her manicured claws tightening around my life. Her name alone sparked dread in our small, gated community, a place where manicured lawns and cookie-cutter homes hid her iron grip. I'd seen her strut through the neighborhood in her designer heels, her smug smile a warning to anyone who dared defy her rules. This wasn't just a finite, it was a declaration of war. I wasn't alone in my outrage. Karen's reign of terror had suffocated Harmony Hills for years. She'd fined Wilson's $10,000 for a garish Christmas display, forced old Mr. Jenkins to repaint his fence 3 times for inconsistent shading, and even banned kids from chalk drawing on sidewalks. Her notices, always printed on embossed stationery, were delivered with a smirk by her assistant, a nervous young man who avoided eye contact. The community whispered rebellion, but feared her wrath. She controlled the HOA board, the fines, and, seemingly, our lives. I'd had enough. I wasn't just going to pay her ridiculous fines. I was going to fight back, and I had an ace up my sleeve nobody saw coming. The truth about Karen's power wasn't hard to uncover once I started digging. She wasn't just a control freak. She was a profiteer. HOA fees, meant for community upkeep, were funneled into her personal accounts, funding her lavish vacations and that gaudy fur coat she wore like a crown. I found bank statements sloppily hidden in public records showing thousands siphoned off. But the real bombshell came when I met Clara, a retired county clerk who'd moved in last year. Over coffee, her hands trembling with indignation, she revealed Karen had bullied the previous board into signing over community assets to a shell company she controlled. Clara had kept quiet, fearing retaliation, but my fight gave her courage. "She's not invincible," Clara whispered, handing me a folder of damning documents. That folder was my weapon, but I needed the perfect moment to strike. The confrontation came at the annual HOA meeting, held in the community center under Karen's watchful eye. Residents shuffled in, heads bowed, as Karen stood at the podium, her voice dripping with condescension. "Compliance ensures harmony," she preached, holding up a stack of new fine notices. My name was at the top. My blood boiled, but I waited. Then, as she droned on about aesthetic standards, I stood. The room fell silent. "Karen," I said, my voice steady, "why don't you explain where our HOA fees go? Like the $50,000 for your consulting firm last year." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Karen's smile faltered, but she scoffed, calling me delusional. That's when Clara stood, holding up the folder. "We have proof," she said, her voice cutting through the tension. The room erupted as residents demanded answers. Karen's face turned ashen, but she doubled down, shrieking about slander and threatening lawsuits. It was chaos and exactly what I'd hoped for. But the real twist came from an unexpected ally. Tom, the community's quiet maintenance worker. He'd been invisible to Karen, just another worker bee. That night, he stepped forward, his weathered hands clutching a USB drive. "I've got security footage," he said gruffly. Karen hired a crew to vandalize non-compliant properties, then find owners for the damage. The footage played on the center's projector. Karen, in her signature coat, directing a bulldozer to tear up Mrs. Lee's garden, laughing as she handed out fines the next day. The crowd roared with fury. Tom's evidence was the match that lit the fire. Residents, once cowed, now shouted for justice. Karen tried to flee, but the room closed in, a tidal wave of righteous anger. Karen's downfall was as swift as it was brutal. The evidence, Clara's documents, Tom's footage, and my own research went to the county prosecutor. Karen's shell company was exposed, her accounts frozen. She faced charges of embezzlement and fraud, her pristine reputation shredded. The community board was dissolved and a new one elected, with Clara at the helm. But I wasn't done. See, Harmony Hills had one unique feature. The only road in and out ran through a sliver of land I'd inherited years ago. Karen had never noticed, too busy finding me for my mailbox. I installed a gate, nothing fancy, just enough to make a point. When Karen's movers came to haul her belongings after her arrest, I stood at the gate, keys in hand. Access fee, I said, smiling. $70,000. Cash. She screamed, her designer sunglasses slipping as she realized she was trapped. I didn't actually charge her, not her, but the look on her face was worth more than gold. The community cheered as her car crawled out, tail between her legs. In the end, Harmony Hills bloomed again. Clara's board lowered fees, rebuilt the garden, and even let kids draw chalk murals. I opened the gate for good, a symbol of freedom. Karen's name became a cautionary tale, a reminder that power built on fear crumbles fast. Standing in my yard, once deemed non-compliant, I felt lighter. We'd taken back our home. But the question lingers, who was really in the wrong? Karen, for her greed? Or us, for letting her rule so long? Share your thoughts. What would you have done?